side, it's good to know the new technique, and from your side, you are communicating to many people in the area of infrastructure. India is, moving up. It's one of the leading countries economically in the world, and definitely the pathway is very enterprising, and we are moving forward. And we have a big plan for infrastructure build up in the country. So nearly $1 trillion business is there in the infrastructure. So it will be a good thing that they understand what is BIM, and then how do we undertake the constructions in time. So the time cost, the requirement is well known to everyone, but there are delays due to several reasons. But this method of using the BIM is more professional in dealing with the construction management, and it will be very useful to our people. So that's why I requested you to speak to us, and you readily agreed. So we are very thankful to you, and we welcome you to contact, to communicate with us, and we are very happy to see your lecture. We are going to hear your lecture. We'll be very happy. So over to you now, Mr. Willing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pillai, first of all, for inviting me, and thank you everyone for having me today with you. Thank you for your kind words. It's really a great pleasure, and I really liked our conversation also when we met in Croatia at the summit, and I'm really honored to be today with you. So I'm gonna start now sharing my slides. So just okay. I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay. Just allow me to switch to the that everything is perfectly fine. Okay, so about myself, I'm president of Bexel Consulting. I'm also on an international level steering committee member of Building Smart International Construction Room, essentially construction division. And Building Smart International is largest BIM organization for BIM standards and various vendors, BIM stakeholders, construction companies, and so on in the world. And also in Europe, I'm vice chairman of FIDIC FK BIM and Digitalization Committee. So FIDIC is the largest and leading world organization for construction consultants. We are, as a Bexel, had a lot of international awards for what we are doing. We are currently present in 65 countries. We are both software developers, but also construction managers and construction consultants. So help execution of quite large projects on the global level. Here are some of our products, Bexel Manager and some other. And at the moment, we have in our portfolio around $250 billion value of various projects. Bexel is, as I said, present in a lot of countries, and I will maybe emphasize it's localized in a lot of languages. I will maybe emphasize also our good presence and excellent work of our Bexel India team. We have an office in India as well, and we have excellent collaboration with some of the leading companies in India as well, such as Larsen & Toubro, and various branches of Larsen & Toubro, like L&T Realty. And I'm really, and our team is thankful to Mr. Mukund as their technical director, and all other people in L&T who really closely worked with our team in development of various interesting solutions, and we help them to execute their projects more efficiently. Also, I would like maybe to mention also Tata projects. So with Mr. Pai, who is managing director of Tata projects, we have a quite good collaboration and are partners on several projects, not just in India, but also in the Middle East. Of course, we have a lot of leading companies from Germany, Spain, United States, Belgium, Netherlands, United Kingdom, Korea, and so on. So we are proud to have excellent clients all over the world and have a quite successful collaboration. When we are talking about technologies and where technologies, BIM technologies could be implemented, here are some statistics. So that we can see that what we believe from the day one is that BIM is beneficial for all stakeholders. At the moment, currently, we have slightly more than 50% of our users are public and private investors and developers and project managers, and 1/3 are contractors. I have to say that this number is increasing, so we expect maybe next year that it will reach almost 1/2, or at least 45% will be contractors as well. And on the other side, where BIM can be implemented, as you can see maybe from this statistics, more or less on all projects. So it's all construction projects. So it's, benefits are in tunnels and bridges, but also in high-rise buildings, in plants, oil and gas industry, and so on. So just a short introduction about what BIM is. So it's 3D design development. Then we call the 3D models 3D, of course, and then we, as a convention, added 4D as a time component. So everything which is related to construction planning and monitoring and all analysis related to time, such as cash flow analysis, earned value analysis, and so on, are within 4D, but also important component is, as a convention, we name it 5D, it's cost and resource management. So there are plenty of analysis which combined all of this analysis in what we call the single source of truth. There is another convention that everything related to operation phase, we call 6D. And what is, of course, we now today in ISO standards and in our communication use the term ND, because there are plenty of other analyses which are generated from BIM, such as energy analysis, safety analysis, and so on. So we are now talking about ND models which can analyze projects construction from totally different perspectives. So here are some of the analysis which could be automatically generated in a BIM, like a cost classification, construction schedules, progress monitoring, delay analysis, claim management, clashes, and so on. I will explain further a bit, give you some glimpse, some examples of the analysis which can be automatically generated and analyzed by using BIM technologies. So this is where we are today. There was a research done by World Economic Forum about what will have the highest impact when we are talking about new technologies in construction industry. Of course, focus was always on productivity, and they, in their research, they used the various cool new things like augmented reality, 3D laser scanning, drones, 3D printing, big data analytics, and so on. And what at the end was the result that the integrated BIM, so the ability to integrate this data, to have a concept of single source of truth, it will have the highest impact and is most likely to happen in near future. And that's actually what we are doing for the last 17 years. So when we are talking about, I will start with the problems we are facing within construction industry at the moment. So you can see here that in a construction projects, waste is huge. And I'm not talking about just material waste. I'm referring to time waste, not optimized sequence of the works. People on the site does not have ability to perform works and so on. And on the other side, we have manufacturing where focus is on added value and waste is significantly lower. There is also another chart, very famous, done in which analyze the productivity of construction industry and all other industries. And what surprise us all is that we can see that construction industry is even less productive than 50, 60 years ago. And on the other side, we see that some industries which we expect not to be efficient, like agriculture and so on, are doing much, much better. So they are continuously optimized. And to be honest, I was also wondering about this. What was the problem? A lot of manual works, low level of automation. There was also saying that the construction people are not interested in digitalization and so on. But reality is a bit different. And I was in the beginning blaming the industry and the people in the industry for these relatively poor results. But reality is different. Construction projects are by far, in terms of project management, the most complex challenges and the most complex projects, and execution of those projects is the most complex and challenging comparing to all other industries. So just to be clear here, there are certain industries which have a highly specific, sophisticated task, like nuclear science, rocket science. Let's say, I personally, a good friend of mine is the guy who sent the rover to Mars from NASA Center. And when we discussed about this, there are a lot of software development tasks could be extremely, but single tasks could be extremely difficult, extremely challenging. But we never have a situation that we have such a huge number of stakeholders. We literally, our first product is a prototype and its end product. We have a situation that when we are doing estimation, it has more cost items than any other bill of quantities in any other industry. When we are talking about construction schedules, they are by far more complex than any plan for development of a new software or creating a new, let's say, new rocket or new, I don't know, some other sophisticated product. Then we have issue with fragmentation of the industry. So we have a lot of stakeholders, logistics, which is usually now in car manufacturing industry, the biggest challenge, is just one of the challenges we are facing with on construction project, and supply chain management as well. Then last but not least, we have a lot of issues with safety, because when we are working in a factory or in office, we are working in a controlled environment. Now we are literally fully exposed to the weather conditions. Safety measures are very difficult to manage because the site is constantly changing. We have plenty of people, equipment, a lot of dangerous locations. So handling all this and being responsible for all this is extremely difficult. And that's why we are facing with the challenges in these processes. So the only solution is if we have a certain automation. Otherwise, we will still have not significant improvements, and I have to say, unfortunately, poor performance because of all these challenges. Simply humans cannot manage all these challenges, and they could have extremely high experience, but it's very difficult to manage this manually. Another challenge with every new technology. So this is an interesting statistic. So more or less, it's the same with all new technologies. People first do not trust technology, do not are not willing to change. We as humans are reluctant for any change, almost all of us, and that's what we see here. Is especially if we do not know something, and then the people usually here in this statistic, this is from United Kingdom, they say they are not using BIM because it's not client demand. And of course, we don't have expertise. There is also an issue with cost and so on. But the thing is that when we do not know something, we are not focusing, we are not willing to change and to switch to new technologies. Another problem, like with every new technology, is that we have a lot of gurus who promise that they will solve now all your problems and so on. Usually the most aggressive ones are those one who knows the least, as usual, and they promote, and what we used to say, call this Hollywood beam, or we used to say a beam for the sake of beam, where you digitalize yourself, but not for the sake of benefits, but just to be digitalized. And then, of course, results are not good. Return on investments, you do not see the benefits. So it's always like with every new technology or new service, is to choose good professionals who really can help you and focus on the real tangible benefits like cost optimization, time optimization, increased quality, and so on. So what are the expected BIM benefits? So here is a national strategy of United Kingdom. Document is called Construction 2025. So they envision to have a 33% lower cost, 50% faster delivery, and more or less the same percent lower emission. On the other side, we have Americans, Boston Consulting Group. They put a slightly modest, more modest numbers, 13 to 21%, and then in design, construction, and engineering stage, and then 10 to 17 in operational stage. But both numbers are extremely huge. And by knowing the total value on the global output, or even in India, of the construction industry, we are talking about trillion of dollars, which could be saved and optimized. Of course, in order to achieve those numbers, we need to have a focus on the benefits, not on, as I said, Hollywood beam or just nice videos which cannot bring us real conclusions, or have a digital decision-making process which of course can bring the benefits. So the same goes with the technologies in other industries. Another interesting thing, what we are also trying with our technologies to do from day one is, and the first institution we start collaboration with was a Stanford University SciFi, and we literally discussed with them about the ways how in the construction industry could be changed. And then after 10 years after we started working on this and develop a lot of things, we have been proud that McKinsey in their research put an idea which we have from day one, to try to apply manufacturing style production system to construction projects as well. And that's what's called location-based planning, linear planning. That's what's called in our system also line of balance analysis, and so on. So we try to have the same or very similar process like a factory. So what Henry Ford did with his T model 100, almost 20 years ago, we try now to apply, because otherwise we will have challenges with productivity. The only thing what we are not doing without technologies, we cannot move the building from an assembly line in this way. What we need to do is to move the workforce and equipment across the zones of the building in the same manner. And that's literally one of the innovations for which our technologies are very well known and recognized in the world. Now, when we are talking about on-site inefficiency, these numbers, and we can see that due to all these issues, poor work planning, time waste, the location time conflicts, poor communication, various and a lack of subcontractor coordination. We do not have ready materials on the site for execution and so on. Or we have three teams which supposed to work at the same time at the same location. Poor work sequencing. We have that currently only 50% is really effective labor work time. Of course, there are certain limitations where we need to transfer one crew to another location, or we need to do a certain preparation. So theoretical maximum is not 100%, it's around 65 or 70%, but still from 15 to 70, it's a huge gap. And if I might say this research was done in one of the most developed in terms of construction workflows country in the world. This was done in Finland, so in Scandinavia. So there is a huge opportunity for us. So again, construction projects, extremely complex, extremely difficult in terms of project management. On the other side, a huge opportunity for optimization, huge potential for more efficient and smart work on construction projects. What is also the usual practice, like with all other new technologies, it is always adopted in certain stages where the focus is on the way how easy it is to implement something and not how large the benefits are. So the situation today is that BIM is mostly implemented in design stage. This is a research done by McGraw-Hill, and in construction phase, which is the most challenging phase in the project, most cash intensive phase, most risk prone phase, we have a lower adoption of BIM. Of course, this research is done a couple of years ago. Now these numbers are much higher, I have to say, especially in design stage. We still face with the challenges in construction. So the problem is that technology is mostly used in early stage. Of course, design stage is very important, but still Excel is the most used tool in this stage, and some traditional planning tools. But for all analysis like monthly progress, financial analysis, you might be surprised, Excel as a software is still the most used solution. So it means a lot of manual work, a lot of manual calculations, a lot of possibilities for errors and mistakes. On the other side, this is one football stadium for actual World Cup now we have in Qatar. These are the numbers, so that just to understand that BIM models has a huge databases. And in this case, we had by development of the BIM model, just an idea to have about the data generated from this BIM model. It's not about geometry. That's why we call this building information modeling, not building visualization modeling. We had more than 72 property values for each of the elements in this building. And the situation is that when we are about to do a cost estimation on the planning or monthly payment certificates or delay analysis, we still use the traditional tools. What we are trying to do is to utilize the benefits of all this data and automatically generate most of the analysis. So it's just to give you idea, 72 million is values is a database system for medium-sized university. So their databases have less information than this project. So that there is a huge opportunity to use this information efficiently. And that's what, for example, focus of our technology also is. Because if we have a manual things to do, like in a most popular, let's say, planning tools, the problem is not that they are not capable to do a certain things. The problem is that due to manual process or semi-automatic process, we cannot cope with the changes and other stuff. And the same goes with estimation and all other analysis. So what can be, these are some of the ideas, what can be done with the using of BIM. So very detailed Gantt and line of balance charts, which contain, of course, all relationship with resources. The second concept is a concept of single source of truth. So how we know that we are referring to single source of truth? Very simple. If you change something in design, are you going to have updated construction schedule? Are you going to have updated cash flow? Are you going to have updated cost estimate? Are you going to change the costs which will be included in monthly payment certificate? Are you going to automatically check design issues with the new design version? Unfortunately, today the answer is no. Literally all these analyses are managed separately and we do not have a single source of truth. And that's one of the biggest problems when we have a claims, is that because we cannot handle all this information, it's very difficult to identify what really truth is, and that's why we have a lot of disputes on construction projects. And if I want to explain to you this in a simple slide, the truth is that even if we have certain BIM tools applied on a project, we usually do all analysis traditional way and then try to manually connect them with the BIM models. And we call this a BIM. It's not BIM, it's just connection. All our processes are still manual. We still have a different source of truth. We have planning updated 3 months ago. We have progress updated month ago. Our financial analysis are 4 months ago and so on. And so we cannot grasp the truth. And the problem is that we do not have any optimization. This is literally just additional work for us, because we have to do everything we did before and again connect this with the BIM models. So the reality is that we do not have a lack, we still have a lack of accuracy because we are not benefiting from the models and all this huge data, but on contrary, we need to manually connect them, and we call this BIM level 0. So this is nice to have. There are small some benefits, but in terms of optimization, there is not too much benefits. It usually costs us more, and we unfortunately do not have actual data, detailed cost estimates and construction schedules. What is the vision? And what we are doing and together with some other partners is to have really a BIM or digital or data-driven project management where we use all this data which was generated in design phase and automatically by using a lot of international standards, ISO standards and so on, automatically create most of the analysis directly. Of course, there are some fine tunings which could be done in planning tools or in BIM tools, but majority of data is automatically generated. The same goes with estimation, with progress. We are able to send the look ahead plans, procurement analysis are generated, and we have, of course, what we believe is a very important single source of truth. What is one of the highest benefit not just the accuracy of the information generated, is the ability to have multi-domain interactive dashboards and KPIs. And I will explain to you in a second part of the presentation by showing you some examples how it works. What is also one of the key benefits for all stakeholders, ability to have a proactive claim management. And this is one of the things which really is necessary today, and to allow all stakeholders to easily identify if there are opportunities for claims, or to be able to answer to the claim request by just simply analyzing the data. And what we believe one of the holy grails of construction management is to have a holistic, integrated contract management and to try to achieve a total project control. So are we going to achieve all this? I will say never 100%. And this is because the changes are so frequent, and literally if tomorrow is raining, it will have a significant impact on execution of the project. But fortunately, what we are achieving is results of 95, 97%, 99% of the data and certain analysis are automatically generated. And it's a huge time saving. And of course, the benefits are and return of investments are clear and tangible. So these are about some of solutions. This is example of our technology, but you can find a lot of these examples available on our website. So I'm not going to go deep into this. I will just show you some examples how the system works and how the BIM can be used. The thing is that when we are talking about automation, this is one of the key things. So if we cannot have automation and streamlined workflows, even as I said in Excel, can we manually create 50,000 cost items? Yes. Can we manually measure all things for quantity takeoff in any construction project? The answer is yes. Are we doing that? No. The problem, or are we, when we change design, are we automatically changing this? No, simply because it's so labor intensive and prone to the errors. The same goes with the Gantt charts. So can we do a Gantt chart with 50,000 activities? Of course, yes. Can we define all relationships? Yes. Can we theoretically attach resources to all these activities and tasks? Yes. Are we doing that? No, because again, there is no automation. So without automation, simply due to limitations of time and human limitations, we cannot cope with this. So this idea is to utilize all the data. Of course, these are now technical terms like IDS or 4D schedule generation workflows and so on. But the idea is to utilize everything which is previously generated and produce other analysis almost automatically. So here are some of the videos where you can see how it works. So you have here simulations, you have a cash flows, you have a resource usage analysis, and so on. So in these videos, I will try to explain to you how from the just pure BIM model, without any analysis, the system automatically create cost breakdown structures automatically by using a knowledge-based template. So it's always the idea to use the previously generated knowledge. So knowledge management and utilize our previous experience in a digital format is something which definitely is one of the keys for this full automation and so on. So in this case, literally in a couple of minutes, automatically cost estimate is generated, and then I will just maybe stop here. This is one of the huge innovations Bexel is doing. So this is defining the sequence of the works or what we call the methodology or method statement. There is, of course, plenty of additional things which are behind this. Bexel technologies are able to literally automatically in a second generate very powerful and very detailed construction schedules, and line of balance where we see a location-based scheduling. And by having all this, we can do automatically a cost optimizations or identify the space conflicts or see a resource analysis, and then at the end see this visualization. So this is the end result, not the beginning of or not the key result of the project. So ability to visualize this, if we cannot see all analytics behind and cannot optimize the resources, it's nice to have, but not help us significantly. The same goes with a workflow where we are able to send to the site what is necessary to be done by each subcontractor or the crew and the team. So this is a simple way, just for you might be interesting to know that today's technologies are able to do that. So you are now literally from this very detailed Gantt charts automatically send what has to be done to the site, and you just maybe deselect certain elements which are, for example, not finished as it was planned, automatically using certain ISO standards like BCF and so on. You send the information back to the system, and then system automatically calculates a monthly payment certificate and create an updated construction schedule. So if you just load the data from the site, you can see, okay, just sorry, you can see the exact, all these quantities, actuals and so on are automatically calculated. So to do that manually, all these numbers and calculations literally will take a huge amount of work, and it's never going to be accurate as it is if it's done in a streamlined flow. Or what if I just stop here, you have, for example, direct earned value analysis. You can see the differences. What are the differences between planned and actual works? I will explain to you. And you see a planned and actual cash flow and all other analysis automatically. So let's move to another simulation where, again, by utilizing all this, in I mentioned 72 million of property values. This is the way I hope it's smooth. So you can see how the entire stadium will be generated, literally what should be done on hourly or daily basis. So again, to do that theoretically manually, it's possible, but it will take months, or I will say even years of manual work. And then whenever design of the stadium is changed, you will need to do more or less everything again. So by utilizing automation, you can really combine them with artificial intelligence algorithms, because the prerequisite for any intelligence is the automation of the workflows, because the systems cannot help you with artificial intelligence if they can not test easily various options. And if you have a manual, are doing all this stuff manually, there is almost impossible to utilize artificial intelligence, because if you know all these neural networks and all advanced genetic algorithms and so on requires automation and ability to test the hundreds of thousands or millions of options in order to create something automatically. So that's why we are focusing a lot on automated intelligent workflows, because then we could play around with what if scenarios and so on. So one of the interesting things is, of course, a location-based scheduling or line of balance, where we are seeing with different colors. We have a time scale and location. And one of the things which is very important is to have always a straight lines and to prevent situation where more activities are done at the same time at the same location. What is also very interesting with location-based scheduling is that in this particular example, we could identify easily the waste. In Gantt charts, unfortunately, we cannot do that. So of course, Gantt charts are useful for certain things. That's why, like a critical path method, that's why we are combining this. But let's say if we are working on a structural design here, and here are certain, or we have facade works here, and on the other side, let's say we have a certain finish works here, all these gaps where we are not performing any works on a certain location are potential wastes. Of course, sometimes they are required, or for example, in this case, if we have just a building base and we are not about to sell a foundation slabs separately because we need to finish entire building, that's maybe something which cannot be optimized or not necessarily optimized, but there are plenty of things which can be optimized, and they are very easy to be identified with line of balance. And this is an example of optimized, automatically generated line of balance simulation in Bexel. And what is might be interesting for you to know that the tallest building for 40 years in the world, famous Empire State Building, without computers, was not generated or not managed by using Gantt charts because they did not exist at that time, but instead of that, line of balance. And this is original line of balance and location-based scheduling. And on the other side, what we can say is that this building was built in just 13 months, and today we will need much more time to do the same building. So that's where we can see that we are not moving always in the right direction. There are a lot of guidelines, and I'm sure you are aware of this. So what should be avoided, maximized, and so one example is a start-start relationships or start-finish relationships. They must be minimized. Unfortunately, we usually have a lot of them, or open start, open end relationships. In certain companies, this is forbidden. When you have a lot of start-start relationships in your planning, it means I don't have a data, I need to do some approximation. And of course, the problem later is that when the schedule is executing, this does not help us at all because does not allow us to update schedules automatically. There is also activity duration. Whenever you see that any activity is longer than 5 days, it means, or you have one activity 6 months or 3 months, usually it means I don't know, and this is just my best guess, and this should be avoided. Then a spatial, location-based breakdowns and all other stuff are not done, not because we don't know how to do that, but simply we cannot do that manually. And that's why if any professional analyze construction schedules, 95, 97% of construction schedules generated today are unfortunately not very accurate and not very useful for the construction sites. Of course, there are examples which are excellent, but unfortunately, most of the projects I'm talking on average are quite poor, and a lot of mistakes are there. And I'm talking all over the world, so about thousands and thousands of schedules we analyzed and so on. So these are some of analytics of why this is. Because even on a relatively small project, on 200, on medium size, 200 million, there are 100,000 quantities, resource inputs, and this needs to be done automatic or updated constantly. And to do that in an accurate way without automation is almost unfortunately impossible. So the idea is to have trustworthy and timely information. These are some of the ideas. So what I mentioned before. So the idea is to have a proactive client management, streamlined, efficient detection, delay detection, and time restrictions. So to focus on real, let's say, delay analysis, to focus on optimized planning, and so on. So to focus on the real benefits which can be bring to the project. So this is an example of delay analysis. In this case, window delay analysis is used with this today. maybe, by let's say in United Kingdom, the only recognized methodology in case of disputes. And so this, with red line, we automatically detect all what are called non-excusable delays, or we could see optimization, and then the system automatically calculate the direct impacts on the remaining tasks, and generate, if in this case, let's say the client did not, let's say, organize fire protection in a way he was responsible for that, the system can automatically calculate all the impacted tasks, and you can visually see where those tasks, and the system can automatically calculate the amount of excusable delays. And then you, of course, continue with execution. You again have what's called non-excusable delays. And then in this case, for example, the design was changed, again, initiated by the client. You immediately see the cost impact, which is not significant, but is very, could be significant, the number of tasks which are directly impacted. What is also very important, sorry about this, I wanted to just highlight in this example that impacted remaining cost and value of all remaining works are not necessarily the same. And of course, if you are working on the client side, this is a real impact, not all remaining costs. Of course, construction companies are always willing to present that all costs are impacted, all tasks are impacted. But with the proper planning, it's more or less, you can identify very easy all the tasks. The problems are, as I said, that the plans are not good. And if you have a lot of start relationships, you literally sometimes do not have a proper critical path. Everything is on critical path or nothing, which obviously is impossible. And these are just end results where you can see the project duration, excusable, non-excusable, and mitigation delays. So you can analyze the project, and these are window delay analysis, which are, of course, very important. And unfortunately today, more or less, everything is done manually because the data is not organized in a proper way. So here is another example where you can see one of the largest hospital projects, so can be equally successfully used on high-rise buildings and infrastructure projects. So in this case, you can see that this is a simulation, but on the left-hand side, you can see a line of balance, resource usage per quarters, I believe. So you can see that all this is generated. You can see a quantity takeoffs. You can isolate a certain task, of course, see a procurement analysis and so on. So is it possible to be done manually? Of course. Is it accurate if it's done manually? Unfortunately not, because this is a project with more than $1 billion, and of course it's very difficult to handle it manually. So again, what is also very important, to acquire expert logic. So in order, not just, we cannot just solve all the problems with some AI tools and algorithms. We need to capture and to all what experts are already doing, and try to connect this with intelligence and the power of computers and technologies. So these are various templates for quality control procedures, rules of measurement, data checklists, so all other stuff. So without this, it's almost impossible to have a perfect and optimized dashboards. So in this case, I will just, since we are closing to the finish of the presentation, focus on the benefits of the command centers and show you how at the end, what we are doing for all this is to enable management to have a data-driven or information-driven decision-making. And the only way how they can do that is if they can visually easily see all the KPIs and so on. So in this case, you can visually see the clashes on the cloud. You can see a monthly activities on the cloud. You can see the works organized per any color schema, in this case, materials or the months where the works are executed with, and you can just by clicking certain elements automatically see the total values of the work and so on. So what is so you can, these are some examples I can show you if you have any questions in live. So we can see our color coding schema per subcontractor, so easily see who is doing what. In this earned value analysis dashboard, we can just easily highlight the works which are done each week. We can, when we stop here, we can see that in those 3 months, these are the works which are done. We can see a color schema per week. We can see a schedule and cost variance. We can see that actually in those 3 months, we made a profit. So we can see always the cost and schedule variance, so we can know who is doing better in our team, who is performing worse. And by just knowing this, we can make a decision. Unfortunately, usually construction managers until the end of the project does not know if the profit will be made and what the profit or loss will be made, because it's extremely difficult to do those earned value analysis manually. Now, by just identifying or clicking on the items, you can see that, for example, now I will just go back just to explain to you the benefit of this is that when we highlight more months, we see that we have losing money, so earned value is negative, and we have a huge time difference, and of course it's called the schedule variance. So by just identifying, or of course we can just focus on a certain type of the works and again have a similar analysis. This is one of the components is what's called the clash detection, so automatically to identify all clashes, conflicts between the elements in the project. And again, we can, as a humans, do that manually, but of course it's extremely difficult. The same goes with I will just stop here with one, just to explain to you that even if we are not the experts in certain area, we can easily identify the problems on the project. So this is an interesting example. These are actually for each subcontractor. This is a payment certificate dashboard. Of course, we can see all the numbers here, what the amounts of work, what is recognized, what is approved, what's not, and so on. But just a simple situation here. So these are the actual works, and these are remaining works. So even if you're not the expert, if you know that that was actual month, to trust that everything else will be achieved here, which is unfortunately usual on a structural project, construction project, means that the very small chances are that this is going to happen. And by just, if you're just looking at it sometimes, and again, Charles, you're in a position, yeah, we are still planning to have it on time. Sometimes even our planning tools are not helping us because they just show us what we want, not what is reality. Bexel always will send you a warning. So by now, just in this case, isolating each type of the work types of subcontractors, you can see their cash flows, their monthly payment certificates. So you can play around with this, and to do that manually, of course, is extremely difficult. Just to mention, these are now model explorers. So again, from the model perspective, type of the elements, you can isolate, in this case, HVAC, you can see the cost of the elements and so on. The idea is what I wanted to say, that you have here a QR code, so you can go on our website and all these dashboards are available. So you can play around with them and test them by yourself, so just to see how the system works. So what are at the end the benefits which are expected? So the margins of construction companies are very low, unfortunately, today. And based on the actuals, what we achieve, the 10 to 15% is return on investment. So when you measure the investment in technology or investment in services or education of your people and so on, and compare this with tangible benefits, which the difference is 10 to 15 times, not percent. And what we usually advise is to focus on the things which are the most beneficial, not solve all the problems in the beginning, because then you unfortunately could be lost. So the idea is to focus on the biggest and highest benefit. So even with the several pro miles of investment, you can have a significant gains on your projects. And that's fortunately why a lot of companies are now focused on this. But again, digitalization for the sake of digitalization is not necessary. You should always focus on measurable and tangible, clear benefits. Another huge benefit, of course, if you optimize construction projects, is that we will have a lower carbon footprint, because I don't know if you are aware of the fact that 50% of carbon emissions is happening in construction phase. Of course, later over the years, maybe this number will be higher, but it's going to be across 30, 40 years. A lot of carbon is generated in construction process, and if it's not optimized, of course the numbers will be much higher. So these are some of the also common data environments which can be again used in Bexel. I will just, since we are running out of the time, I will just speed up this. So just to tell you that again, if the data is stored on the cloud, all this analysis could be streamlined. What we are honestly believe, what is important is that it should be allowed the clients that all data is hosted on their premises or their designated premises. So we are not big fans, and I am personally not big fan, if I insist that the data must be stored on our server or any other dedicated server, because that means that data is not under the client's control. And we honestly believe that ones who generate the data, who owns the data, should have right to decide where the data will be stored. So that's why with the big clients, we always allow them, for one example in India is L&T. So all the data, we don't know how they are using the data because the data is stored on their premises. And these are additional certain portfolio manager analysis. So where you can combine the more projects and see how information is changing. So you can see a number of clashes or total number of costs or earned value analysis or delay analysis across not just one project, but across more projects. So this allows you to analyze portfolios. Is it possible today without being? Of course it is. But the problem is the accuracy of the data. Usually we manually calculate the data, and that's why we unfortunately do not trust the data. Here are some of the benefits. I can say this is a slide of that rover to Mars, which was one of the inspirations for our venture, and we should always focus on something which maybe even looks at the moment impossible, but that's the way how we will progress. If you have any questions, you're most welcome. Here are my contact and my company information. Also, of course, you can contact our Bexel India team if you require any additional information. It would be they would be really pleased to answer also all your questions. So thank you for your time.
Any questions?
I have a couple of lots of questions, but I can't ask all of them. So I'll ask a couple. Number one, is this BIM software proprietary to Bexel? And number one, okay. Now I can hear me out and maybe answer in one shot so that it saves time.
Okay. I just used some examples of analysis which are generated by Bexel, but of course, BIM in general is we are, let's say, these are our technologies, but of course there are the others as well available for certain different use cases. Yeah.
So the services rendered by Bexel are by and large of PMC nature, or only as advisory for somebody to use BIM? I mean, what is that? Because you are engaging with, for example, L&T very closely. Probably you must be advising them. I'm just curious how that is done.
Okay, so there are two things. One is technology. A second is what we call the digital transformation. So what we are doing is we help them to maybe integrate for example, with them, they have their own ERP system, and with all the data they collect from the site, from financial accounting system, and one of requirement was to do the integration of those data. So not to produce twice any information, try to do it only once. Then what we do, provide intensive training, and our team is India, is helping them on certain projects on site, help to implement in practice those technologies. So more or less we are focusing on this. In most of the cases. Of course, in some projects, we also have experts who are involved in claim disputes or maybe do a certain real full project management, as you said, as a PMC. But in most of the cases, we try to help the contractors to develop, increase their skills, and to be able in the long run to do as much as possible by themselves.
Another small question is, does it replace the traditional project management tools like Primavera, etc., and also maybe ERP? For example, SAP has a project PM module. So they all boast that most of this integrated kind of a view can be generated out of that. So I'm sure there must be deficiencies. That is the thing you are addressing. Can you elaborate a little bit? How do you still need to use those in the back end? Do you still need to use the traditional project management tools or not?
Okay, so Bexel has its own, of course, time engines. All analysis are generated in a similar manner like in Primavera or Microsoft Project. We have a bi-directional link, so you can generate all analysis in Bexel, export if you want them to Primavera, or you can start from Primavera, import it in Bexel. But what we identify in the long run, the companies start by using usually the both. So they are using traditionally Primavera, importing in Bexel. Then identify a lot of things are identified, which are maybe double works, relationships are not good. They are missing. You have certain things in the project which does not exist in the Gantt chart, or contrary, you copy paste Primavera from previous projects. So you have a sprinkler tasks and in the project does not have sprinkler at all, or a lot of start relationships. There are also the issues with the quantities of the resources, which are usually not done or just done for some basic works. And that's why in the long run, the construction companies try to switch to do most of the things in Bexel. Of course, they can export the data. Then other traditional tools does not have a location-based scheduling. They are more focused on the tradition. You don't have a location-based charts in Primavera or Microsoft Project. And so this is one type of the charts which are very, very useful for especially optimized execution of the works. With SAP or any other tools, of course, there are plenty of examples where SAP and Bexel are integrated. So if you are manage your resources, human resources in SAP, then of course you can integrate the data with Bexel. So there is no need to manually enter actual resources on the site. So we have a lot of integrations with ERP systems and so on. So we do not try to replace them all, but to allow maximum integration. So if anything exists in ERP, like cost information and so on, the idea is just to transfer it to Bexel, not to double work and so on.
A couple of small points. Now, when you integrate everything, a very large project into a single platform, what is small errors can accumulate and could be disastrous. So what is the control and feedback mechanism built into it so that because finally the human being loses control because it's all such a large thing. So how do the feedback mechanism, how do we ensure that we don't end up in a colossal mistake?
We do not have, that's an excellent question. So first of all, you will be surprised how much it is still under human control. So we when we are talking about artificial intelligence, we are primarily focused on automation and ability to easily perform the options. But who define the rules and who controls the process? It's always human. Because to be honest, I will never like to be in a position that safety is organized by computer, and the fact that 5 people die on a site, and you say, okay, software was wrong. No, sorry, it's impossible. Or also, I'm the guy, we as experts are the guys who define what we want to receive, and there is a very clear algorithm how it's achieved. So whenever you see my computer will optimize for me everything, and if I am not controlling the process, I will be a bit cautious. So that's one thing. So always it needs to be controlled by experts and expert requirements. We call this a knowledge management templates. The second, so that's one. I really would like to emphasize this. The second thing is if we, of course, there are a lot of backup mechanisms and a lot of abilities to archive the certain things. So you always have a system of version control, which is another thing which we don't have time today to elaborate. So every time in the future, I'm not satisfied with the current progress or current updates, I can go back and use the previous version. So I'm not in a position that I'm losing the previous data, and I'm always able to compare this with the new version. So to analyze what are the differences, especially for the claims or change management and so on. So that's, I hope this may be the answer to your question.
Thank you. I have one one
I
small
have a
question.
question.
The last one. Okay, sorry, I give up.
Please.
See, I have only 2 questions, so I'll put it this way. Number one, can you give us some example? It's well understood that this approach is used in realty projects, because all your examples are realty projects or civil projects, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, has it been extended to industrial projects? If yes, how successfully? The second question is,
please.
Second question is that how in operation it is helping in improving the operational efficiency. So gains are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. You can go, maybe just allow me, maybe if I just try immediately to answer, to show you examples on other types of the projects. This is very good question. So I will now put in the chat some examples, so you can just go to the YouTube and see a totally different types of the projects. Maybe I can just, if you allow me, share my screen. So can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, just a second. Sorry, it's maybe 30 seconds. So you can see a total infrastructure, railways, bridges. I guess you will see also plants, because we are working also on the plants and other types of the projects. So you will more or less, just let me try to speed up if there are some infrastructure projects as well. In this video is not, but you can find on our website. So we worked on a substations or plants or oil and gas and so on. So the things are that actually we are now helping in claim management for the largest plant in our country. We are supporting for delay analysis and so on. So this can be used in totally different types of the projects. Of course, there are certain slightly different workflows which has to be implemented in those cases.
When you see, another question was regarding the improvement in operation. Operation, I means my understanding was operation and maintenance.
Yeah. So you have also Bexel solution for just to give you a couple of things. So you store all the data, all the documents, all maintenance plans and entries, maintenance entries on the cloud, and everything is related with the BIM model itself. So when I isolate, I can automatically define the document checks. So one thing is that if there is every chiller in the project, I can check if it has user manual, operation guideline, if it has a warranty, photo. If I go to the site, I can even in the document, let's say you can define a maintenance plans on a weekly basis. I can visually see where are the elements in my building, in my plan, which I have to maintain that week. And the interesting thing is, just to give you statistics, when the projects are finished, as built is finished, commissioning stage is finished, and since our system can automatically check if the documents are properly attached, that on average, more than 30% of the documents is missing, and the commissioning is finished. Because what are the usual mistakes? You change something in design, you send the wrong documents for a wrong chiller, you send so you don't notice all this stuff when you are doing a manual commissioning stage. So this is one of the benefits. The second is to automatically calculate. I'm just giving you a simple example. If I have to do a painting of my facade every 3 years, I will automatically have the quantity of the walls which must be painted, or of course number of elevators, chillers, and so on. And if I have to do this manually, although there are excellent tools which can do that, the problem is the data which is entered is not accurate. So these are maybe the benefits of these systems.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Jamshin, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, I had one last one, and that must be the easiest
Please.
one. Earlier in your presentation, you mentioned that you're bringing manufacturing into construction. You know, the concepts of manufacturing, where waste is minimum, etc. Those principles. Did you mean prefabrication or something more than that?
Yeah.
It's something more than that. One thing, of course, is prefabrication. If you allow me, I will just maybe show you an example. So this is a Gantt chart. Okay. So you see now all the costs and everything is there. If I go even, there is a line of balance. And there is, even if I isolate foundation works, if I go here to task editor, to the cost, you see all the cost items, all facade, formwork, concrete, everything automatic. These are all the quantities of the works. Even I have automatically resources. So how many carpenter working hours I need. So can I do that? And then if I want, I can export this to, let's say, Primavera. But the thing is, just to explain to you how this process is generated. So just in a 1 minute, if you allow me, you have a cost database with all formulas. So now I'm about to do a new cost estimate. So this is my expert knowledge, my cost database. So in order to do that, I will just simplify this. So just go here and create a new cost estimate from this calculations. So the system is now measuring all the elements and create entire cost estimate automatically. And then when I finish this, okay, so now all the new cost estimate is generated. So now I see all my material, labor, equipment, and it's fully interactive with this BIM model. So if I could just go here, foundations, can you show me the elements in the building? Here they are. Or the opposite, if I want to see the elements, which I will just give you an idea, if this is phase 1, and I would like to see the cost of only phase 1, this is my tendering package. I just give you an idea. Filter by element selection, and here, if I just make it move here, I will see that 2.9 million is my base cost with all cost items and everything. So this is the first phase, how you do automatic cost estimate. The second thing is how to do schedule. So this is a knowledge management system which defines how the activities order sequence, like in assembly line, what has to be done. So first up is preparation, foundation, then you can have a multi-level. If I go to the casting place slabs, I can have first formwork, reinforcement, placing, finishing. And what is interesting, that for between a residential object and football stadium and hospital, 80% or more are the same orders. Of course, railway project and an oil plant is a bit different, but here everything is similar. So now just to do from scratch completely a new, let's say, demo. And I'm using a cost version created 2 minutes ago. It will be fully empty schedule. Creation wizard, there are templates. I'm using the schedule logic. Click OK. And the system automatically, of course, it's much more impressive on a larger project, create 1,000 relationship and 742 tasks. With all, if I expand, scale, I see all the tasks with, and if I go here again to foundations, you will see again the same numbers. Literally, and then I can optimize this. I can see a line of balance. There is a waste here, for example, automatically, I see this here is a waste. So there are small optimizations in a couple of minutes, which can be done. But what I can see is automatically even the animation with the cash flow. So if I switch to the schedule animation and run this animation just to include everything, you will see literally everything with the red color means reinforcement and so on. So if I stop here, the animation, I will see that the current cost is 1.3 million. So is it possible to do that manually? Theoretically, yes. But I literally in 3 minutes from without cost, created cost estimate, created cash flow, and all other analysis. And of course, I can now go back and do all the analysis. Let's say I can open actuals for a certain, if the progress is entered, I can see earned value analysis. I can go here and see a cash flow. So everything which was presented before, all these charts are the same like with these charts I have on my dashboard. So if I go here, these are the same. Let's find if I have earned value analysis. Let me find here. Yeah, this is the earned value. I just published this to the cloud, and if I isolate 4 months, I will see now, you can play around, go to our website and see all these dashboards, how they work. So I isolated the works which are done from March till July. And I can see that I lost, this is my cost variance, this is my schedule, this is my earned value, and so on. So this is just, we are using, so one of the key elements is this methodology, but it's fully controllable by human. So I can define that lag between my beams and curtain walls. I can specify the lag here, which must be 3 days or 50 working hours, or if I want to change my methodology between formwork, let's say reinforcement and placing, I'm defining here. So it's not that computer everything by themselves. I'm the guy who controls. And of course, I can share this with you. So if I develop as an expert one methodology, Bexel captures the expert logic and allows the others to use my logic. So it's not just in my head and let's say, this is the excellent way how the knowledge could be shared. So this is an example. So it's not just about prefabrication, which is excellent, of course, and one of the key benefits, but also on the execution of the site, because unfortunately, a lot of things cannot be prefabricated.
Fantastic, fantastic. Any more questions?
I must thank, from my side, Mr. Veliko Janich for the wonderful and engaging conversation. Thank you very much. Most of our doubts are addressed, but obviously, doubts never end. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your excellent questions.
Presentation.
Yeah.
Excellent
Yeah,
presentation.
please.
So anyone else wants to say something? Srinivasan? Srinivasan, come on, conclude.
Mr. Nandakumar was trying to ask some question, I think. If he still wants, otherwise we can conclude it. Fine, sir. Mr. Alko, thanks a lot
Okay,
for sparing your valuable time.
we really enjoyed your presentation. It was very in detail, and we are really benefited by the way you explained all the details, and particularly when you answered the questions, it was so clear. So we are very thankful to you, and we are very much benefited out of your presentation. So thank you so much, and we keep in touch so that we will engage more, because we have to see that the large infrastructure projects in India, we have to push. So we can jointly work on that. Our PMA India and yourself, Bexel, let us work together to see that we can progress faster. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Maybe if you're interested, Mr. Pillai, I can put you in the contact with Mr. Rajit Kumar, who is our managing director for Bexel India. He is an experienced, very knowledgeable expert. He worked in oil and gas industry for more than 4 decades.
Okay.
Especially on the Middle East, but all over the world. So it would be pleasure for him. Of course, you can contact me as well. So looking forward to further discussion. If you need any additional information, please let us know.
So whenever you come to India, we will have chat directly.
Yes, please. I just want to say that with the NICMAR or IIT, we have also established with universities collaboration. So we are very open also for knowledge sharing and for supporting students and so on.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. It was really a great pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving away from BIM, I had the opportunity, I think you're from Croatia. I had the opportunity to travel across Croatia, and it's a beautiful country and wonderful and very impressive. And we could travel on the coastline. Really impressed by your hospitality and the beauty of the landscape.
Yes, it's very nice, especially a lot of islands are there. You know, if you get a chance to visit the islands as well, they are amazing, but the coast is very nice. So thank you for your kind words. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
You can sign off. Yes.
Pillai, thank you very much. It was very nice presentation, really.
Yeah. I think we can definitely